We're gonna have to hear it again.
Just wait.
What? What?
Just wait.
Oh, I'm so depressed.
USB 2 codec. There it goes. Hi, guys. We're back. We now have sound. So I'm Stu, this is Stork, and this is Tim. Tell your joke.
I have a dentist appointment tomorrow. It's at Tooth Hurdy. Ah, I'm Proby Tim.
All right.
Get it? See that?
Very quickly, again, in this episode, West asks, is there such a thing as too lenient of a GM, or are there times when you should crack down? Allervant asked, when does a character's story arc end? Steve writes in with some thank yous to the show, and Brian from Osaka has some DM nightmares.
Okay. Side note, a lot of people from Osaka these days. It's crazy. It's really crazy, you guys. Thank you, but crazy. Is Brian new? Have you got...
Brian is from my old gaming group.
Oh, that Brian.
In college, yeah.
Okay.
Is it time for an O team?
Should we have an O team? We should have an O team.
We should have an O team.
Yeah.
O team. The O team.
You know, the O face.
Oh.
If you'd like to email us, you can email us at happyjacksrpg@gmail.com. That's happyjacksrpg@gmail.com. We have the social medias. We have tweeters, happyjacksrpg, all one word. We also have Instagrams, happyjacksrpg. If you like to watch the show live, you can watch on Friday nights, normally at 8 p.m. Pacific time. A little late this time, we're at 8:30, but normally it's 8 p.m. Pacific time. You can go to happyjacks.org/live. You'll get links to the Twitch, you can get links to the YouTubes, you can get a chat rooms, and all of that kind of stuff. Is there any other announcements anyone needs to make?
Watch us live as much as you can. Subscribe, friend us on Twitch, because the more people that watch us, the more people that watch us.
We get a subscribe. There's a subscribe button now.
It is.
So.
Yeah.
And if you want to, you can link your Prime. If you have Amazon Prime, you can link your Amazon Prime account to Twitch, and you get one free subscribe, and that will help support
I believe
the show.
that is true, and I believe you don't have to pay for it if you use the one Amazon.
The one you don't, yeah.
Yep.
I think that's what one free subscribe means.
But see,
is you
people
don't have
think,
to pay
it's
for it.
one free per, like, do I get a month free? So, no. So go ahead and squander your one free one on us.
That's right, baby.
We will happily take your free squanderings.
Yep.
Also, if you would like to support us on Patreon, you go to happyjacks.org/Patreon, and you can support the show there as well. And thank you to those of you who are doing so. We appreciate it greatly.
Also, as a side note, if you listen live to some of our games, you can actually help participate and change the course of the games. So when you see Mode of Sin and you got nothing better to do that day, jump on in. Listen, if you have enough beers, you can buy dice or whatever, and you can actually affect the game in chat. It's something we're working on, and it's something really cool. A lot of people have been talking about it. Yeah. They don't like to share because they want to be the only ones there.
The help a player thing.
Yeah.
Where you can give people
yeah.
extra dice.
And that's for all the games, not just Mode of Sin.
Yes.
It's for all the games. So if you're in the chat room at the time, you might actually end up part of the game. Also, there's a way that you can end up with an NPC in our games as well. It's all on the website, I think.
All right. Too lenient of a GM from West.
Too lenient.
That's
Too
wrong too. Wrong too.
Dear happy halflings of the douchebag end.
I like that one. I saw
That's
that
good.
earlier. That's a good
nice
one.
one.
That's a nice one.
Long time listened, first time emailer from the lands of Michigan. Is that the lands of sky blue water?
It is.
Becomes the beer refreshing.
I got through all of Happy Jack's backlog, and all I got was this lousy shirt and years of psychological damage. I like that. That'd be a good T-shirt.
You got a shirt?
I just got the psychological damage. I got shorted.
I got hearing loss.
What?
What? Having been GMing a game of 13th Age, a Pathfinder equivalent of 4th edition. Really?
That's actually a pretty good description.
I thought 13th Age was a spin-off of another D20 kind of.
You can
spin-off.
actually. You're right. It is, but it's still kind of. He's generalizing. It's not specifically designed to be a Pathfinder equivalent 4th edition.
I have been GMing a game of 13th edition with a group of friends, and will be wrapping up my current adventure. From there, one of the other players will be taking over for a few sessions to run an adventure. The hope is that eventually all the players will get a turn in the GM seat.
Right. I applaud. That is an awesome way to run games. It's the way we used to do it, and it's really cool because people don't know that it's not cool to be a GM and how hard it is. They just do it.
Anyway, as the next GM and I were planning, he told me that as a GM, I was too easy on the players and that he was going to crack down some on them. I have played under some hard-ass and old-school adversarial GMs, so I try hard to be very open and fluid and always say yes. Is there such a thing as too much, though? The next guy is a good player and runs his own group, so I know he's coming from a place of at least some experience. Should I crack down a little more? I would like to hear your thoughts. Crapfully yours, West. P.S. Drink.
If you say so. Customer's always right.
I'm drinking Michelob Ultra again.
Oh,
Although they come in little.
you don't really drink them so much as just tolerate them.
They're like Red Bull shaped cans.
Yeah.
now.
So-
and in your massive hands, they just look like little shooters with their pinky out. I mean, look at that.
So you stopped drinking beer then?
It's not that bad after
You have the opposite of porn star hands.
I do have the opposite.
You make that can look teeny.
All right. PPS. I have played Mouse Guard and Numenera. Both are fun games. Also, the books are pretty.
The books are pretty.
The books
That's
are very
great art.
Suck me in.
All right. So, no, he doesn't. This is more of a general discussion.
Yes.
Because he's not giving us any specifics. We don't know if he's not being.
We don't know how hard or easy he's been on that.
This other guy might be a real hardcore adversarial GM.
Back in
we
the
don't
day,
know.
that we had a name for really, really easy GMs, which was the Monty Hall.
Monty Hall campaign.
You knew exactly where I was going.
Exactly.
Yep.
For those of you kids out there that are way too young, go Google Monty Hall. We'll wait.
What game show was that? That was
The price? No,
it was the three doors. What's behind door number 1? It was
You bet your life.
no. Why can't I think of it? Let's make a deal.
I thought it
Let's
was-
make a deal. You're right.
And
Yeah,
the truth of
let's make a
consequences,
deal.
but yeah.
Yeah, let's make a deal. When I read through this, all I thought is the conversations we've had before about there can be too much yes and. Yes and doesn't mean the players get to do whatever the F they want to do. It just means that you as a GM are willing to run with some of the ideas that the players come up with. But it doesn't mean that, I'm going to just be king now. Yes, and you've sired a prince now. You know, it's
No.
And so I kind of got that vibe from it, but again, without having a whole bunch of details, it's really hard to.
See,
When we originally started talking about yes and when it came to GMing, we came at it from the concept that a tabletop role-playing game is in some ways an exercise in improvisational storytelling.
Sure.
And it is good manners in improv to yes and accept the reality that the other person is creating and add on to it or change it. Yes, but, yes, and, whatever.
but you still accept what they hand you.
Right.
Yes, but, yes, and. But there's and occasionally you could do a no, but for the most part, the whole idea is an exercise in accepting this gift, this thing that they've given you, and giving yourself the opportunity to improve upon it or work with it.
Build upon it in
Right.
some way or change it and,
And
tweak
that's-
it or even pervert it.
That at its core, yes.
But and the term itself and the way it relates to improvisational theater is not exactly the same as the way it translates into tabletop role-playing games.
Yes.
But the general idea that if the players want to do something or try to do something, you should always look at the yes answer first.
Sure. Agreed. Yeah.
Always say, okay, Tim's character wants to try to jump across this chasm. I had sort of figured it would be too wide, but I'm going to give him a chance. I'm going to say there's one section where it's a little narrower. He might be able to make it there, but he's got to make a dex roll. If he doesn't, there could be a bad consequence to that. But I'm going to let him try it, even though originally I was thinking no. Or if you've presented the characters with a problem. The one I always use, the analogy I always use is the prisoner in the tower. They need to rescue a prisoner from a tower. So they need to figure out, and it's an area, and it's hard to sneak up on, and there's guards at the door, and there's only one entrance, and there's a tiny little window way up high, and you're not even really sure if you could fit inside that. How are they going to get inside this tower? Well, they're going to set about and try to come up with a way to do that. As the GM, your job, if their goal is to get the person out of the tower, your job is to say yes to one or several of the
their options that they come up with.
Yeah.
If you have one thing in mind that is the only way to do that, that's where and out of that stems create problems, don't create solutions. That's
exactly.
the player's
To
responsibility.
my mind, yes and is kind of a philosophical exercise, much like Occam's razor. It isn't Occam's razor, but in storytelling it kind of is to me. It is a philosophical operation where you say yes and, as you said originally, which is a really great take, which is try the yes option first and see where that takes you. Occasionally, well, I'm going to be prince of that realm, and you're like, no. But,
Yes.
and.
Stop that.
The whole idea is that as a GM, you allows yourself to, as Stu said, include your characters, give them that option, and you're going to find yourself solving more problems than you've ever had
Right.
before. When you block, anyway, yeah, that's, to my mind, it's the storyteller equivalent of Occam's razor, which is I'm gonna
Given equal something or others, the simplest solution is most likely the
yes.
the truth. Or
And it's a philosophy that's used
that's Occam's razor, right?
I think so, yeah.
confronted with two complex systems. The simplest one, the most elegant one, is the best solution, or
That
something like
is-
that.
I don't remember that one.
But it's a variation of Occam's razor.
Yeah.
But that's my thought about the use of yes and, because you can yes and yourself into a corner.
Oh, you totally can.
And it's not a hard and fast rule. It's like, well, you didn't yes and, so you're a bad GM. It's an exercise. It's
So
free you.
going back to his question, is there, assuming he's doing standard Happy Jacks yes and procedures number 1, assuming he's using yes and, his question is there such a thing as too much though? So can you yes and too much? Absolutely,
yes,
yeah.
Yes. I mean, and that is if you misconstrue it as being like theater improv, where you have to accept everything the players do. You don't. You've created whatever setting you have, whether it's your own or it's a pre-written setting, you have a construct of how reality works.
Yep.
You have norms as far as what sorts of characters are there, how characters behave, how physics works, all of that stuff. It's usually all fairly clearly defined. So if someone says, I'm gonna like really concentrate really hard and try to grow wings. Okay, that might
You do that, they're not going to grow.
Right. That might work in some games. There may be games where something like that might work.
Yep.
If you have sort of like dream sequences in a Call of Cthulhu game, perhaps you could do something exactly like that.
Yeah, in the Dreamland.
In the
sure.
Dreamland.
Yeah.
But in the cold, hard reality, no, you can't. And some people, early on when we first started talking about this, and even like within the last few years, people started thinking that we meant, no, you should always say yes. You should always say yes.
Right. It's like a
No.
hard and fast rule. They grognard it. No, it's a yes and always.
You should always consider yes first.
Agreed. Yep.
The other thing is, sometimes players can metagame a GM's proclivity to say yes.
Really?
Yes.
Really?
Damn it, they're on to me.
Yes. And they may try to by asking questions, try to create realities within the setting that don't break the norms of the setting, but maybe make things a little easier or
Sure.
maybe a little more convenient for the player or the party. And there are times, I think, when it's okay for the GM to say, no, there's not a gun hanging on the wall. Now, there's also games where if you want there to be a gun hanging on the wall, you have something that you can do to make sure that happens.
Well, and that's a really interesting point, because that's what I got out of this sentence.
But there's
what you got out.
games
Okay,
that
go
have that. Games that have that have an economy for it.
That's
They have something built in to say a fate point or a Benny
Yep.
or whatever
Yep.
it is. They have something built into the system that doesn't cause narrative inflation.
Well, but that also goes back to your point of the world you've set up. If you're in a hunter's lodge and they say, hey, is there a gun on the wall? You know what? There's probably going to be a gun on the wall.
Right.
But if you're in a medieval castle in, Renaissance France, I'm sorry, you can't be in a medieval castle. Oh, I suppose you could. But if you're in a castle in Renaissance France and you're, no, there's not going to be a gun on the wall because we haven't hit the black powder era yet.
Right.
So,
I'm just going to go back to sort of the reading in between the lines here, where the other GM is going to be meaner than him, and is being too nice. and you brought up an interesting point I want to follow up on, or at least follow down that trail and see where it goes, which is it really kind of depends on the flavor of game you're running. You can run Game of Thrones, which is a very, very brutal, rough game, or you can run Swords of Shannara, which is much happier and lighter, and everybody kind of gets what they want. I would say that Swords of Shannara, for the most part, is a very yes-and game, and Game of Thrones is a no-but. I want to tell the king off. All right, you get your head cut off. Ooh, all right.
You know what? I still kind of think that there's a lot of yes and there.
Okay.
It's just the yes ands have horrible consequences.
But again, it's not a yes and thing. What I'm saying is that can you be too nice? Is what he's aiming at. I think that you can if you're running. But again, if you want that really light fantasy and everybody has a happy ending at the end, and the Shannara stones get found, and and you plug the whatever. That's great. But I said plug. It made everybody jump.
You like put your finger in
the dike
to stop the flood, or do you put the Shannara stone?
The Shannara stone.
Okay, right. Is that what they
Two
were
of
for?
them. Two of them.
Really?
Yeah.
And they put them in a dike?
Mm-hmm.
And it stopped the flood?
Mm-hmm.
Huh?
No. What are we talking about?
I know
now?
nothing.
Okay.
Jon Snow.
I know nothing about what she's talking
But again,
Jon Snow.
okay. But you see what I'm saying?
He brought up.
You put
I
the
did.
giants in the hole.
It puts the giants in the hole. It does this whenever it's told. But you see what I'm saying? Because one's a really grim, gritty game. I would say GOT is a GURPS game, and Swords of Shannara is a D&D game, where nobody really dies and there's not really any consequences for the action. And yeah, it's kind of be rough and whatever. But I mean, with GURPS, I mean, people slip and fall off a wall and they're dead, and you roll up a new character.
I had a character fall. I made a fat bard in a game that Bill ran, and I wasn't very good at anything, but I could play. I was a bard. I didn't have magic. I don't think I had magic, but I could. I could play. I was a performer. I was more of a face character, right?
Was he bald?
I wasn't bald.
Not at that point.
No,
He was still skinny. You
No,
should
he
see
had-
pictures of him back in the day. He was.
no, he had like sandy blonde hair. He was
Okay.
Adonis.
Strapping young individual.
and he, but fat, and
butt fat.
and we're in
Well,
like
not butt fat. Butt fat. No, not butt. I don't mean butt fat. I don't mean a fat butt. I mean.
baby head back,
Oh, okay. Well, then
Anyway.
a fat butt.
Butt fat.
Butt fat.
and we're in some elf village, and the whole thing was up in the trees, so they have these little like rope bridge things that go between the little settlements in the trees, and there was a big fight. Yeah, I fell.
Did you break the bridge or did you fall?
I died. My character fell to his death because we were in the fight, and someone's shooting arrows at me, and I've got a short sword, and I think my skill in the short sword was like a 12.
Yeah.
In GURPS.
I mean, a good swordsman, that's their parry, right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So I go running across, but my move isn't very good because I'm fat.
You have the fat disadvantage.
I took the fat
Yeah,
disadvantage, so it slows me down. So I'm
What is
running
that? Would it 75% of normal speed? Is that what fat gave you?
something like that.
Yeah.
And I tried to like dodge when someone shot an arrow at me.
And failed?
I critically failed.
Oh.
I rolled an 18. And so he said, I got it. You fell off the bridge. It's a little tiny narrow
How
thing.
can you not? How could you
Right?
not do that?
So, but then he said I could make a dex roll to see if I could hold on to something either there or on the next rung down. And I critically failed that roll.
I feel your pain.
And then we measured out what the distance was, and it's like...
And rolled all those
And-
D6s.
And figured out how much dice damage it was, and we rolled it. And of course, my character was very well dead because it was pretty high up. It was like, I don't know, 60 feet up or something.
Oh, yeah.
I'm going to die.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's GURPS.
So okay, did
But
you...
it's a funny story.
It is.
Did you consider...
If you'd had a nicer GM that you could exploit, you just would have said, I'm going to run across the bridge and jump on the bridge and knock all the archers off. Like would cause a wave in the
Make
bridge
a-
with my giant girth.
but did you write that off as a hard-ass game master?
No, not at all.
And that's I think...
That was the dice talking.
Yeah, I think
And-
that's the point that I want to get to with Game of Thrones. If you're playing that type of game, is it really that the GM is being a hard ass, or is that just the reality that you put into the game.
But a GM can influence the flavor of a game. By being a hard ass, you can turn a Shores of Shannara into Game of Thrones literally overnight, or like within with one thing. And that's kind of the point that I was trying to make, which is it depends on the flavor that you're trying to get. If you really want your players to be very cautious and be fearful, you can be a hard ass, and they will be.
I think I don't like using the term should the GM be a hard ass or should the GM not be a hard ass.
Fair.
Because honestly, sometimes the reality of the game is a hard ass.
Yeah.
Sometimes the bad guys you're fighting are hard asses.
Yeah.
It shouldn't be the GM who's doing that. It should be the GM making the decision that makes sense within the story.
Well said.
Okay, this guy you're fighting, he's a motherfucker, and if you go down, he's gonna stick his sword in your heart to make sure you're dead.
Well said. And that doesn't make you a hard ass GM. That makes you faithful to the story. It was like, dude, I made Dr. Doom here. He doesn't freaking take prisoners.
Exactly.
And
I would give the players some foreknowledge that the person they're about to go and fight is a ruthless son of a bitch.
Yeah, and you drop rumors, hints, all that kind of stuff.
Sure,
right?
Maybe he's in a fight before they show up, and he watches them coup de grace someone.
Who
knows? But if he's that way, and the players know he's that way, and you've given them ample warning, let the chips fall where they may. I mean, as long as everyone knows what's going on, let it happen. Same thing with falling off of a 60-foot bridge. If you're going to fall that distance, depending on the kind of game you're playing, depending on the setting, if you're not playing something super pulpy or super
20th level D&D game where you could just fall and land on your head and then get up and dust it off.
Right.
and that's cool too, but that's the type of game you're playing, and that's
But I don't think GMs themselves necessarily. I do think in some cases you can be doing your players a disservice if you start to nerf things when you've given them that warning and they've decided to step forth boldly. You're kind of robbing them of the repercussions of the decision they're knowingly making.
And here's something to be wary of, because this is something I did as a 14 to 15-year-old teenage boy, which is be the vindictive GM.
Oh, yeah.
And being a hard-ass GM can quickly slip into a vindictive GM, or even be perceived as from the player's point of view as a vindictive GM.
Joe kills Stork's character, Stork GMs, Stork kills Joe's character.
Or even more than that, which is you just don't let them get away with anything, and they're like, your games aren't fun. It's like, yeah, well, because
you killed my big bad guy, so this next big bad guy, he's going to kick your ass.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Or you didn't figure out the one solution I said it, or whatever it is. But yeah, I mean, there's a litany of things for the vindictive GM, and you don't realize it at the time. In hindsight, I'm like, I was just an angry 15-year-old boy because 15-year-old boys have unfocused male rage, so I took it out on my best friends in my GM game.
Even hearing, well, you didn't come up with the one solution that I had for this puzzle. Just hearing that in jest makes me roll my eyes. I go, oh God.
Right? But did you not do it too? When you were a 15-year-old boy?
Did I ever do that? Did I ever do that?
I know I did. I know I did.
No, no. And you know why? Because I've never been really good at puzzles. So what I put down as I thought this would be the awesome puzzle, my players would go, oh, we just do this and this and this. And that was the solution that I had planned because my puzzles were all so simple.
This came to a head. I'll tell you what the situation was. We were playing a Champions game, and we had some Iron Man type characters, very much like Avengers, and I had a couple of street level people, and I gave them an out, which is that I had these giant robots, very Robotech, attacking the city. So the Iron Man people were shooting things, and they were just shrugging it off. And I was waiting on the street level guys to pew 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 pew,
right.
to ask me a couple of questions about, like, can I? So, and they kept trying to hit the things, and they never once looked for secret doors or an entrance into the robot so they could reprogram it and take it over. That was the whole thing. And I'm waiting, and they never did. And I held it against them, and they got wiped out, and they were pissed at me. And I'm like, you never asked if there was, a maintenance hatch, did you?
You didn't ask.
Well, you didn't ask. And I was 15-year-old, and there was nothing in the rules about just saying, hey, there's a maintenance hatch on the side. It never occurred to me at the time to do that to them.
Or even, I mean, today, if someone goes around the back side of the robot, so make a perception check.
That's how I would handle it now. Right. But back then, I didn't have the tools, and I was just an angry 15-year-old boy. So
now, the one thing I wonder about this email that West should maybe consider, this might be, because this is a guy who was playing in his game, this might inadvertently be maybe some pretty genuine player feedback.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah.
Because maybe he feels that for his character, things were too much of a cakewalk. Maybe he didn't feel
entirely possible,
that things were challenging enough. And that's not so much the GM being a hard ass, that's the GM saying, okay, I'm going to make this setting a little more gritty, or I'm going to make my bad guys a little more ruthless, or make them a little smarter,
Sure,
or have a little more forethought in what they're doing, rather than just be the normal dumb, ordinary bad guys that you normally put in a game.
It might also just be somebody showing a little hubris, which is I need to change the direction of this. I'm going to try something new.
Sure.
I'm going to there's a new sheriff in town.
Right.
His name's Reggie Jackson.
You may very well be right. I don't know, but it is possible.
Yeah.
You might ask some of the other players. Did they
Yeah,
feel
that's-
challenged?
yeah,
if
that's a
they
good
say
feedback,
no,
yeah.
it wasn't that challenging. It was fun, but everything was kind of easy. Well, then maybe you want to up your game a little bit. And
That's an actual very good point there, because it's not that he's another GM; it's that he was a player in your game, and if he's telling you that,
he may actually be giving you feedback as a player as well as saying, hey, I'm going to run the game and I'm going to run it a little darker.
See, and if it were Stu, because I've known Stu for way too long, I would be seeing him as setting up a gritty game. It's like, you know what? This next game I'm going to run, I'm not. You guys are in trouble, and I'm going to be like, oh yeah, all right, I'm in. And
are you running GURPS?
Yeah.
Well, that's one of the
Call it
things.
Cthulhu GURPS.
Where's the hard to kill disadvantage or advantage?
Right. One of the things I wanted to do with the Moat game is make it more of like an old school Camarilla game.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I brought in this old guard in the last couple sessions.
No, there's been a real tone change.
Yeah.
A real tone change.
And we lost PC.
Yes.
Well, we lost PC and then we killed PC.
Well, and you concluded your story arc.
Yes.
I mean, it's a whole new game. It's a new beginning. We're all at new power levels. It's a whole new start, which is astonishing to me because I mean, and maybe this dovetails into another email. But how do you keep games going? Which is now you're almost started a whole other game with a whole new set of characters because we also added new characters.
Right.
And it's added a whole new flavor, a whole new life to the game, whole new directions.
And if you're playing actual serious elders, oh boy, are the denizens of the moat in for a shock?
Right.
Yeah. Well, Stu's alluded to the fact that that's what he's been working us towards is an elder game.
Yeah, but elders, they don't F around, man.
No,
right?
Like the shit that I pulled.
Yeah.
Oh, I'd have been dead.
Mm-hmm.
Right? No questions asked.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've already sat. I was online, sort of brainstorming with some people in the No Players Allowed forum about what to do about certain things that exist in the game now. Now that there's a new Prince and the Glittering Knight, and what's going to happen? with
Sheriff
that.
in town.
Right, and yeah, it should be interesting.
Yeah.
Poor Jesse.
All right, thank you very much, Crapfully Yours West.
Thank you,
I
Wes.
appreciate it.
Thank you for the topic. That's really interesting. We could probably talk for hours on that.
Yeah.
I think there's more that we can explore on that. Like that topic.
And just sort of as a programming note, we're actually, I don't know when this will happen, probably months, not weeks, but we may start expanding to Saturday night games as well.
Cool.
So
Great. Another game I can't play. When are you going to do like Thursday night games or something?
Thursday's Bogger Night. If you wanted to run a game, no, I'm recording right now. After we're done recording, if you wanted to come down and run something, I have Bogger rehearsal, but if you had players in mind and you wanted to run something, you totally could do it on a Thursday.
Block C. Who played that one? Right. Okay. So,
So next
when
email.
does the character's story arc end? From Allervant.
Go ahead and read this. He just told me in the thing that he's got a PS for it, which I will find out. It's going to be like PS Drink or something.
All right.
Watch this.
Dear Allervant.
Dude, there's totally PC there. There's totally PS there.
Dear Happy Jack's crew, how do you know when a story arc of a character is over? My group has been doing round robin style GMing for years. Huzzah!
Well played.
One GM will do a
Round
campaign
robin.
for 3 or 4 sessions. Round robin. One GM will do a campaign for 3 or 4 sessions.
Menon.
Nice. You figured out what they're good. Yeah. By Menon. Right. Switch to another campaign. My character. We're old. My character is our main superhero campaign. Has been stuck in a story arc for years. My character in our main superhero campaign has been stuck in a story arc for years. I had pestered, then begged the GM to wrap it up multiple times because it stopped being fun long ago. But I wanted to see it through to the end. I told him I wanted it brought to a satisfactory conclusion and buried, never to be heard from again. The relevant details of the arc and that of the company hired a hitman to kill my character's secret identity. For the record, there was a lot more to it, but I wanted to keep this short. In the past 2 sessions, I convinced the other players to set a trap for the hitman. My character would hire a bodyguard and go to a small public event and ambush the hitman. The plan was successful, except for 2 things.
2 things.
First is that since my character was the bait, he couldn't participate in the fight. I pretty much spent the whole session with my character in a limo, praying to the gaming gods that the other players would catch the assassin. Doesn't he want to die, though? Anyway. Second, when it looked like the hitman would escape, my character's NPC sorcerer girlfriend cast an entangle spell that stopped the hitman. So, not only did my character hardly do anything in the climactic battle of his own story arc, but a GMPC dealt the final blow. The session ended with the hitman being taken away by the authorities. Then we switched campaigns. Again, this was after 2 sessions, and we usually do 3 or 4 before switching. Days later, I was chatting with one of the other players, and he asked me how I felt to have the story arc be finally over. And my initial reaction was, what? It's not over yet. After all the people who hired the hitman hadn't been arrested and couldn't hire somebody else, I said something else to be diplomatic, but it seems that the other players and the GM considered the story arc closed. If the GM would just say something like, oh, the hitman rented out the guys that who hired him to avoid the needle, and they got arrested too, I'd be satisfied. Not happy, just satisfied. But he hasn't yet. So, should I press for closure and risk an M. Night Shyamalan ding-long-dong twist ending happy? But what I have and hope he never brings it back to the story arc, that would
Did you
die.
say M. Night Shyamalan
Ding-dong.
ding-long-dong? Is that what
Twist
you said?
ending, probably. I was trying to add a bunch of other ding, but
All right.
You
I
needed
may
a duck in there.
I may
Long
have
duck dong.
I may have gotten it really past my
Idiom.
expiration date. Idiom there. I'm
Your
not
own
telling him on a
particular
ding dong
idiom,
twist
sir.
ending to be happy with, or with what I have, and hope he never brings it back to story arc, or it wouldn't die. Thank you, Alibern. And you have
Really?
a
They're
PS.
talking about dice fudging in the
Okay.
chat room. Jesus
Yeah,
Christ.
that's what it descended to. Well, if your GM's too nice, they dice fudge.
Oi.
Stop that. Stop that.
Oi.
There's more than that.
Oi, stop it.
They could also just hand you tons of treasure, so it's not all about dice fudging.
Stop it.
I'm going to text the other host. and have them
Don't
start
make us
kicking
go into
people.
that chat room.
Stop it.
I'm going to slack the other host and tell them to start kicking people out.
Just
I don't know how to do that.
So there was a PS that he sent?
Ah, yeah. P.S. Drink. No. I forgot to mention that in this campaign, each character has had multiple story arcs. I want mine to end so I could move on to something better with the same character. Sorry I didn't make that clear in my letter.
so his story arc was someone had hired a hitman to kill him off. He wanted to see that done. In the last session, they captured the assassin, the hitman, and they took him away. Everyone else seems to think that it's done. He doesn't think it's done because the people who hired the hitman are still out there.
Maybe that's the next story arc.
But he wants to be done with it. He wants to be done and done.
And they said there is no more story arc. As far as I can tell, he's still stuck in a limo, waiting.
Maybe, but if it's a round robin thing where they're moving around and making it sounds like the GM has basically saying, okay, this character is going to be in the spotlight for 2 or 3 sessions.
Mm-hmm.
This character is in the spotlight for 2 or 3 sessions, whatever. And he gave him his 2 or 3 sessions. It was 2, not 3 or 4, or whatever it was supposed to be. And now he's shining the spotlight somewhere else. I don't know if that necessarily means that arc needs to conclude, all of the loose ends wrapped up, but we know there was an assassin. The assassin was thwarted, is now sitting in jail. Mm-hmm. Yes, someone hired him. Mm-hmm. Maybe that's the next story arc.
For the other people, right. Because those story threads can still be useful to other players.
Right, and loose ends, I mean, a lot of stories have loose ends.
Yeah.
A lot of stories have loose
Yeah.
ends. And
Read any Game of Thrones novel.
Read any Batman comic.
But, I mean, it doesn't seem like you've been given a disservice to me. It doesn't seem like it, unless I'm missing something.
Well, his question is, should I press on or just let it be? And my answer is Alvarant. I always want to say Alvarant. Alvarant, it depends on how much you want to see the story arc done. Like, if that is, you're just like, oh, F this thing, I'm so over it, let it be. Everyone else seems to think it's done, let it be done. But if your desire to see the actual complete closure dwarfs your hatred of the story arc, then yeah, you may want to poke around in it for a little bit. But that's a question that you kind of have to answer, because I'm not really in your head, so I can't tell you. Like, if I was done with a story arc and I was over it completely, I'd be like, awesome, the hitman was caught. Let's move on.
Tear up your character and move on.
Yeah, I'm done. Woohoo!
That dovetails to what I was going to say, which is, methinks you doth protest too much. Your story arc came to an end, but it's a collaborative process, so it may not have ended the way that you thought to, or the way you wanted it to, but it's ended. The other players are moving on. I think you might want
I don't think there's anything wrong with going to the GM and say, hey, I'm kind of not feeling closure on this story arc because I don't know who hired the assassin, and the GM may very well say, oh, we're going to get to that, don't worry. I mean, he might already have something planned for that. You don't know.
That's true.
And he's just not telegraphing it.
You could also phrase it as like, excuse me, court records are public information. I'm going to go look at the court records. Did he say anything about who hired him in court? Was that information? Did that information come out?
It's a tricky thing because he doesn't want to play this game anymore. I mean, does he drag this out any longer? I mean, if you don't want to play the game, but you weren't satisfied with the ending, where does that leave you?
Right. It's not a completely satisfying ending. I can see that for him.
Yeah, totally. Yeah.
But it's totally the kind of ending you're going to get in a lot of,
because you've got all these other players too that all threw into this story, and maybe it didn't go where you thought it was going to go, but I think it ended, at least everybody else.
Maybe he's constructing a larger meta plot
again,
and he's going to use the people that hired him. Maybe the GM's got plans, man. You never know. I don't know.
Plans, man.
Averlant is in there. Averlant?
Alvarant.
I
always want to say Alvarant.
I mean, you could bring it.
Christmas time is here.
That's not Alvarant and the Chipmunks.
Alvarant and the Chipmunks?
Oh.
What is it? What's that?
Oh, I think Dave kicked him out of the
What's that old quote about a death? I mean, everybody wants to die heroically or whatever, but most of the time, it comes to us with a whisper or a sigh, not a thunder. I don't know. When it's time to die, it's very, very few of us die heroically or whatever. It usually is just some very simple. I'm trying to sum up this quote that
falling
I remember.
Off a ladder.
Yeah, or just quietly in your sleep or whatever it is.
Falling off a rope bridge.
Yeah, ultimately, I think you're going to have to ask yourself, how badly do you want to be done with this story?
Yeah.
Cloak 72. The hitman really tied the room together. Yeah, perfect example. Look at all of the unknown stuff from
Big Lebowski.
Yeah, from Big Lebowski.
Yeah, but
there's all kinds of clues when you watch the thing over and over again.
Yeah,
like I've done, like the cut off my Johnson, because there's two different groups of people that refer to that as Johnson. There's what's her name.
Yep.
So it's like, wait a second, did she hire them as well, or they?
You know what that plot is? It's The Big Sleep by.
Oh, is it really?
Yeah, I think it's Raymond Chandler.
Someone pissed on a guy's rug?
No, but it has to do with the woman kidnapping herself and then framing them.
Oh, okay.
Right.
Oh, Bunny.
Yeah.
What's her name? Oh, what a star.
The actress?
Yeah.
I don't know.
No, it's what's her name from Josie and the Pussycats.
Is it?
Yeah. The drummer.
Josie
Tara
and the
Tara-
Tara
Pussycats.
Reid. Tara Reid.
Yeah, that makes
Tara
sense.
Reid.
Yeah,
Yeah, it's
all right.
Tara Reid.
That's all right. Anyway, I don't know if that helped Alvarant. Alvarant.
Isn't there an allergy drug or something? It's Alavant.
He's in here. He's still here. He says, "I'm scared the GM will revive the story arc if I mention it again."
Yeah, he will.
Well, then don't mention it.
Don't mention it, dude.
Yeah. There's a saying for this.
Methinks you doth protest too much?
Let sleeping dogs lie.
Who's calling a dog? Who's the dog in this story?
Well, I don't know, Mr. Longhair over there.
The plot.
The plot.
Yeah.
The
No,
story
but-
arc.
but
I'm an
if-
Afghan.
If you're afraid he's going to bring it back, then I would just say, awesome, the assassin was shot or captured, and I'm good to go. Let's move on. What's the next thing? Which character am I playing now? Because I'm done with this guy.
Think of this like an awkward sexual encounter. It didn't end in a bang. It just was sort of it was like sort of a, oh God, I came to a thank you. It's great. What was your name again? Bye.
So that's right. So
and
just,
you move on. Just move on. You don't want to actually. You say, yeah, give me your number. I'll call you. You don't actually want them to call
Yep.
you. You don't actually want to call them. Let's just move on.
Yep.
You at the end of the day, you were like, I had some fun. We're done.
It's like going on a bad internet date.
Yeah, just throw down the platitudes, do the walk of shame home, and get on to the next game.
It does sound like an awkward sexual encounter. doesn't it?
Only does.
Warning, don't take Alvarant if you're pregnant or nursing.
I'm sorry that we messed up your name. That was not intentional. Oops.
No, it's when I see it.
No, but now
Allervant.
they're all.
I don't know why.
Yeah, my bad.
I am not the no loving GM who went to the Antarctic from Steve.
We must have gone off on some. We must have been drunk.
I'm guessing we actually have 2 Antarctic listeners.
What?
Really?
I think he doesn't come out and say he's from there, but I think
There's not a lot of bases there, so.
Well, go ahead. So who's reading this, or should I read this, and then someone can read the last one? The last one is.
I wonder. I've never read a DM Nightmare,
All right.
so I'd like to read that.
I actually
one.
just started playing and then GMing. Did I skip?
No, that's right.
Playing and then GMing for the first time in 30 years, largely due to your podcast and some help from Fear of the Boot.
Well played.
I wasn't
Friends of the show.
I wasn't playing at all when I started listening to you, and a couple of years ago, I just wanted something fun to listen to.
Because you're
Well,
stuck in
thank
the
you.
Antarctic and with nothing better to do.
Maybe I don't know.
Maybe, right.
I hadn't played since college. I was such a geek. It took me a long time to talk to a girl. Once I figured out how much easier the talking was after a few beers, gaming fell by the wayside.
Right.
Girls tend
You
to
know,
do that.
apparently you can drink and game. Ah.
I'm working back here in the world for a bit, and a few months ago I stumbled across a group. I was a player for 2 sessions, and then our GM lost motivation. After everything I've heard from you, I thought I'd give it a shot, and I'm enjoying it way, way more than I ever would have guessed.
Okay,
Tons of credit to you all.
Way is capitalized. It's
Yes.
way more. I mean, he's
Yes.
over the moon about the fact that he's GMing.
Emphasize that shit,
Yeah.
Thanks for the podcast and everything you do. I'd love to buy you some beers when I come through your area. By the way, I'm guessing the no GM went to McMurdo. That station causes all the problems. So I think this is an Antarctic inside joke.
I think
Yeah,
so,
yeah.
and it might be a rivalry.
There are 19 people who probably get that joke in the planet.
I'm gonna do you
They're
one
all in
better.
our-
I'm gonna do
right
one
now.
better. If from McMurdo they come flying over in a helicopter chasing a dog and shooting at it, don't get involved, because nothing good can come from that.
I don't get that reference.
It's one of the greatest movies ever.
I don't get that reference either.
John Carpenter's The Thing, the Norwegians are chasing the dog to the American camp. Oh my God! Everybody
I
go
don't
out
think I
there
ever
and
saw
watch
it.
John Carpenter's The Thing.
I don't think I've seen John.
It's one of the best movies ever. It's one of my faves. I know you didn't,
know-
because when I went dressed as McCready for the Halloween party like 4 years ago, nobody knew who I was.
Sometimes you pull out some pretty obscure references, but I've never seen one of them dumbfound the entire show like you did.
All
Let's
right,
just hit 2
chat
people that
room,
have-
back me up.
No, I've
The
heard
Thing,
of the movie.
best
I've
movie
heard
ever.
of it. Best movie ever.
Okay, next to Troll Hunter, best movie ever.
Spinal Tap.
Full Metal Jacket.
Well,
The Big
let me put
Lebowski,
it this way. Kurt Russell is a badass.
Okay, yeah, of course. Oh, yes.
Yeah.
That's
Tombstone.
This was his like proto badass. This is before Escape from New York.
Snake Plissken.
It might actually been right before. It's either before or after Snake Plissken, but yeah.
I actually
John Carpenter, same director.
made a thief character that I called Snake Plissken
Sure.
for D&D, and he had an eye patch and
Everybody needs to do their homework, and we can come back next week. Go watch John Carpenter's The Thing. It's great.
Yeah, Palladium Book says Spinal Tap is better, but The Thing is great. All right. Proto Baggins.
DM Nightmares from Brian.
Wait.
Oh, wait.
Before we go on to that,
Yes.
thank you for starting GM. That's the reason Stu started this whole podcast thing, was the dearth of GMing. There's a lot of people that are afraid of it. There's a lot of people that don't know how to do it. There's a lot of people that think that they might want to do it, but they don't know. It's nice that this podcast still succeeds in what it was designed to do.
Yes.
Yeah.
Which is encourage GMing. Because that's really the core of this, which is anybody can do this. Anybody should be able to do this. It should be fun. And if you're enjoying it way, way more than you ever guessed, that's on Stu. That's awesome. That's what this is for.
Do.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why we started, was to convince people that GMing is not as daunting as it seems.
We talk about stuff.
It can be a pain in the ass.
At our core, that's what it's
a lot
about.
of work.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's awesome that you have discovered that, and I'd love to hear more about your storytelling adventures, because that's what this is storytelling. And if you're stuck in Antarctica with a lot of time on your hands, man, you probably have great stories.
There you go. DM Nightmares from Brian and Osaka.
Hey, douchebags. It's Brian from Osaka. Chronivore on the forum. What's up, dude?
I played a rim shot.
Oh.
I haven't used soundboard in a while.
Okay.
And no, I don't want feedback from the listener.
We talked about this beforehand, and Brian, you say F20, but we believe that that's supposed to be D20, so we're going to read it as such.
I kind of like it as F20.
But he's probably using one of those messed up Japanese keyboards too, so he's trying to.
Oh, that's true.
Yeah.
Look, here's D and here's F.
They're right next to each other.
So, yeah.
So we're editorializing a little bit and assuming D20.
I'm gonna correct it right there. I'm just gonna put a little line between there. Now it's P20.
No, P20.
I'm gonna make it a B. Make it a B20. A B.
I could almost make that a Z.
5 bomber.
I'm gonna make it an E20.
Yeah, our editorializing is going too far here.
All right, sorry.
I'm in a D20 group, which has been going on for years now. We started in 4th edition, moved into Pathfinder, and now we're playing D&D 5th edition.
Mm-hmm.
We've played in person for a bit, but also weekly over Skype, Hangouts, Discord, Map Tools, and Roll20. My point is, we've been going for a while, and we've been going through quite a bit of change.
I envy you. That's truly awesome.
It is. Discovering Happy Jacks has happily encouraged me to run my own game again, which has been fan-fucking-tastic.
Two. I think. Do I have applause here? I do. Here.
Yep.
I get to use my soundboard. It's so close now.
I was going to say, you only have to turn almost 180 degrees to get to it.
Well, it's better than down here where I can't see it.
Why isn't it up on the table?
No, it's better down there where you couldn't see it.
I curse you. I curse your name.
Do you have a sound for that?
No, I can't. I've been asked by many listeners not to play that.
Why problem make
when
no
you
problem
have
have
you don't want to make.
There you go. You know what? I'm going to grab something off of Glow for this.
All right.
Have you seen Glow, the miniseries yet on Netflix?
Yeah.
Mark Maron plays the director. All the names are changed. They're not the actual.
To protect the innocent or guilty.
But when he meets the main character, when he's looking at her headshot. It's like, I'm not sure about your face. And sometimes I'm like, yeah, she's pretty fucking hot. And other times I'm like, nah.
There's buzz already about his performance.
Goddamn funny.
Well, but he's walking that line between asshole and likable, and Mark Maron is really good at that. His comedy routine's really good at that. But I smell awards here because of the character he's playing. He's that good.
It would not surprise me.
It's already getting buzz, and what is it? 4 episodes in?
No. It was
dropped.
It dropped.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
You ever seen Step Brothers?
No.
I won't do that quote then. Okay. It was related. Everybody else's quote.
Fan-fucking-tastic.
Yes. Discovering Happy Jacks has happily encouraged me to run my own game again, which has been fan-fucking-tastic. However, it is precisely the quality of experience I've had in my own game which has made me decreasingly tolerant of the foibles and quirks of my D20 DM.
Decreasingly tolerant or increasingly
Intolerant.
Okay.
Or increasingly abtolerant?
I'm trying to navigate my way through decreasingly.
However, it's precisely the quality experience I've had in my own game, which has made me decreasingly tolerant to the foibles and quirks of my F20 DM. Now that's twice he's put F20.
Yeah.
I wonder if that's
that's because I think he's dealing with those effed up.
I'm still with an effed up D20 game.
Yeah.
F20.
I'm making that one an E for sure.
We're just going to replace them with all different letters.
Yeah.
We got Z20 pretty
Yeah.
soon. When he was getting fed up with Pathfinder, In the Swords and Shackles campaign path, he had a 2-hour fit about how much interest we showed in a character that he'd improvised into a barroom brawl.
2 hour.
A 2-hour fit.
Yeah.
What?
I mean, like table flipping and stuff. It was almost.
It was the most uncomfortable and miserable gaming session
Yeah.
I've had
So
in my life.
like he was mad because the guy came up with a character on the fly.
Dude,
So
And
evidently
they
he
showed
came
up-
up with a dude. He just came up with a generic NPC, like on the fly in a barroom brawl.
And they all hit him.
And the characters were like, "Wow, this dude is cool. Let's find out what this guy's story is." And the DM was like, "Oh, gotta tell you, shouldn't have paid attention to that guy."
No one can stay mad for 2 hours. You know how exhausting it is to be that mad?
You know Brian.
I do know Brian. And
That's
I do
2
not,
hours. That's
I do
2
not know
hours.
him to exaggerate.
To embellish or exaggerate,
I do not.
or to stretch the truth,
Or no. Not or that either.
or that, or any of the, all of the above.
maybe he's in Japan. That's full of just short, angry people. I mean, I'm sorry. Tall, average, normal-sized people that are angry. What?
That was culturally tone deaf.
Happy Jack's podcast would like to apologize for the
Was it
comments of
funny?
Stork momentarily ago.
It is now.
Okay.
Oi!
But that shocks me.
But we've had similar emails even recently talking about GMs getting pissed off about how people were attached to NPCs that they didn't give two shits about and went off on it for hours and hours and hours. So I think the message that we're getting here is there's a lot of really maladjusted DMs out there.
A 2-hour fit.
A 2
We're
hour
not talking
fit.
like even 20 minutes of sitting around
No,
watching
that's-
somebody rant.
That's 2 hours of your GM sitting at the head of the table just railing on you guys for talking to the NPC that he put into the game.
I mean, at that point, somebody needs help. 2 hours?
2 hours. That's what he says.
Okay.
I mean, that's like a McMurtry.
2 hours.
That's like a McMurtry one flew over the cuckoo's nest. Go check yourself in for rehab kind of problem. Okay.
Yes. It was the most uncomfortable and miserable gaming session I've had in my life.
You sat there for 2 hours while he
Now wait,
ranted?
I've been your GM too.
Yeah.
Except for those.
And your session
That's
only
actually
lasted
written
2
in there,
hours,
too.
and then he was gone. But this guy ranted for 2. Why would you sit? Okay, there's so many questions now.
Well, you know what? I mean, if we keep going, pretty soon we'll be ranting about the GM who ranted for 2 hours.
Well, but that's what this show is. I mean, but he had anyway.
Anyway, it was take 3. It was the most uncomfortable and miserable gaming session I've ever had in my life. I've been playing since I was 15, and I'll be 50 this year, so that ain't no small feat.
Oh, that's right. Brian's a little younger than that. I'll be 51 this year.
Once we switched to 5th edition, he seemed more in his element, and we were primarily doing brief encounters en route to a large city where we'd find more information from a contact. Here's where things get tricky.
What? The 2-hour rant wasn't tricky enough? Okay.
No,
Okay.
rants are straightforward.
All right.
Rantception. And then I start ranting, and I don't know why I'm ranting. Don't you understand it? And then I'm starting to screaming about ranting. My God!
I don't know why we're yelling.
I'm wet.
I love lamb.
Hysterical, and I'm wet.
I love lamb. Our group meets for 2 hours almost every week. Grown-up scheduling means we have to skip a week, so we usually play 3 weeks out of every 4. Would you like to share with the rest of the class?
Some breakdown in the math
Of
there.
the Hill People. I think this is Savage Talker of the Hill People. I think that's who that is. Bullshit. He can still have small feet at 50.
It really depends on how tall you are.
It does.
Grown-up scheduling means we have to skip a week, so we usually play 3 weeks out of every 4.
Wait. I was told there would be no math. Wait. So how did every
That's
2
3
weeks?
quarters of a month.
3 weeks.
Times 5
That's
minus
but if you-
y.
but if you-
21 days?
But if you're only playing.
Carry the 9.
Is it a leap month?
Oh, my God.
Carry the 9. That's
Okay.
right. There's only 38 days in that
I
month.
know. I remember why I became an
30
art
days
major.
have
Now I
September,
know.
April, June, and November. All the rest have 31 except for February, and I don't forget the rest of the rhyme.
Right? See, it doesn't. The rhyme doesn't help if you can't actually. It doesn't make sense.
Take 5. Grown-up scheduling means we have to skip a week, so we usually play 3 weeks out of every 4. We tend to stay pretty focused.
Unlike us.
But right. But there's a lot of rules discussion, i.e. the argument phase. We respect the DM as the ultimate and immediate arbiter, and the DM wants to run a largely rules-as-written game. One of our players knows the rules better than the DM, though, so this sometimes leads to a lengthy discussion and or real-time research to confirm.
Are there enough
I
fingers?
love that in the middle of game session.
Isn't it awesome?
There's enough fingers pushing up a lot of glasses, actually.
Well, actually, it's you
yeah.
add your bonus and you...
Actually, yeah. All for 2 hours, actually.
Actually, that NPC was not made for you to be talking to. Actually.
Yeah.
As you know, I live in Osaka, Japan. My gaming options are quite limited. We don't think so anymore. We think there's a lot more of you out there in Osaka than you're reporting in. We were just talking
They
about
all want
that.
to play Powered by the Apocalypse, though.
Oh, that's true. You're right. So
And I think
they're
he's
really
in the-
limited.
I think he's in the chat room.
See,
I don't know if he's still listening.
stirring that pot.
I know I am.
It's got to be. It's like like 1 a.m. or something over there, right? No, they're like 14 hours ahead of us or something.
No, it's probably the middle of the day.
Yeah.
14 hours.
Maybe-
yeah,
maybe
okay.
the afternoon.
It's lunch break.
The Pacific is big.
It is, and they're like a day and a half ahead of us.
Right.
We should find out what the weather's going to be like tomorrow.
Right? Can you tell us what the stocks are going to be?
Hey, I hadn't thought of that.
As you know, I live in Osaka, Japan. My gaming options are quite limited. My chances to see my U.S. friends are similarly limited. So despite all the rule-mongering and stuttering shifts between RPG action and rules research, this group gathering is something of a treasure for me.
I get it.
Aw.
He's an expat, and you take what you can
You
get.
take what you can get, yeah. At the worst, this game takes 2 hours of time, and it can be dissatisfying.
When
But at
he's ranting, or what was it? What was the
Throwing
exact
a
turn
fit.
of phrase? You're
Throwing a fit.
Throwing a fit for the entire game session. Yeah. All right. Nice.
At the worst, this game takes 2 hours of time and can be dissatisfying. But at its best, I can hang out with my stateside friends and create new stories together. What would you douchebags do?
Yeah, that's tough. You guys are strangers in a strange land. You're really trying to make the best of
But is this
the
an
time
online,
that you have
this
allotted.
is an online game, right?
It
Doesn't
sounds like
It
it
doesn't sound like it to me.
because he's talking about playing with his stateside friends, and I doubt that a bunch of
Yeah.
stateside people are commuting to Osaka
I interpreted that
once a week
as
for 2
expats,
hours.
just a bunch of stateside people that are all in Japan at the same time.
Maybe.
Oh, maybe.
I don't know.
I don't know.
I would. I don't know. I would. I would stay.
It's been said that bad gaming is better than no gaming, and then it's also been said that no, bad gaming just sucks.
It depends who you are and what
But it
your
depends.
what your
Yeah,
gaming
yeah, yeah.
conditions are like.
If you really want a game, and that is truly the only game you have,
Go play
If
Elder
it's-
Scrolls Online or something.
if it's that big of an issue for you, look into hangout gaming. If that's not what you're doing already, you've got
Yeah.
the sum of human gamers at your fingertips through, Google Hangouts or Skype or whatever. But I mean, you do say that it is really good at times. I believe the terminology that you used, Brian, was. Oh, never mind. But at its best, I can hang out with my stateside friends and create new stories together. That's not altogether that shining. So I don't know.
I don't know. I mean, life's too short for spending years in a bad game. I mean, there's that cautionary tale here where he's like, "Please let this game in. Please let this game in. Oh my God, Alabama." I mean, I'm of two minds about this, which is,
Yeah.
I'm great. It's great that you love gaming, but I mean, if it's that bad, if the choices are limited, there's a lot of online games these days that can scratch that itch to a certain extent, until you can find a group that does better. I'm still a big proponent of a meet and greet, hanging out together and gaming with people.
Yeah, me too.
I get it. I get the online thing. I understand it, but I think that part of the joy of this hobby that we have is getting together and playing together. It's like playing poker together.
Yeah.
You can play poker online, or you can meet up, smoke cigars, and play poker. Or there's a different vibe. It's much more fun. It's much more visceral. It's much more interesting. I still say, if you're going to game, if you're really serious about it, get together and do it, and make a schedule. We have enough things out there. Scheduling shouldn't be an issue if everybody just says, I have babies, I have this, I have that. Tim is a great example. He had stepped up and actually said, I can't anymore. Here's what's happened.
Oh yeah, Hive Mind, who is also in Osaka, says, "Don't forget Stork. Brian and I are dealing with a language barrier in Osaka.
I understand.
Well, teach those
Hi,
people
Mike,
English.
are you
Isn't that what you're supposed to be doing?
Hy-Vee, are you and Brian playing together? Are you guys in that same group? Are you guys?
Because
I have to wait for the end.
yeah.
I'll play some soundboard.
Oh, great! See what you've
Yay!
done.
No way, bite.
I love you.
Welcome to Costco. I love you.
I love you.
No.
Oh, they're not. Okay. I wonder why.
I
not.
think it's an online game.
It kind of sounds like it is.
Well, anyway, it still doesn't undermine the fact that I think that getting together and meeting
So
makes a game so much more, I don't know, visceral. Because
I am a huge proponent of sitting down at a table.
Yeah.
I prefer it in every way to every other type of gaming. I've actually come to the realization recently that I don't like running in a hangout situation. That said, Brian, if this is a game,
actually,
Brian, Chronivore, dude, I think you got to sit down and talk to your GM, because railing for 2 hours over an NPC, that's something that I would be like, okay, whether or not I'm having fun in the game or not, that's kind of bullshit. I mean, because you're right. We're all adults. We got schedules. We got jobs. We got kids, maybe. We got stuff we got to do. And to have someone sit down and rail on you for 2 hours because you talked to the wrong NPC that he put in the game to begin with, I think that's kind of unacceptable. That's something I would definitely
I'm
take
a pretty
issue with.
chill guy.
Oh, he's in the chat room. It was online with California friends.
Okay.
So Hive Mind and I get on like a house on fire, but we haven't gamed face to face. Yeah, the DM rant was kind of the deal breaker.
Yeah.
So you played an online game where the dude railed on you online for 2 hours?
Yeah, that's what it sounds like. Which makes actually that
That's
takes
the easiest.
Sorry, I lost
dropped
connection.
me.
Oh,
You go off and
my
go to the
internet went out.
bathroom.
Let me
Okay.
play WoW for a couple of hours here. Yeah, that's.
And I can understand that, because if you're
Yeah.
sitting there for 2 hours, you're like, well, there's music. You can get up and go to the bathroom. Come
I'm
back.
gonna-
Oh, he's still going.
I'm going to put porn on the other
I
window
wonder
while
if
this
that's
guy's
internet
yelling at me.
detachment syndrome.
Oh yeah.
To actually even be able to be angry for that long. You know how people don't treat people like people
Yeah.
over the internet?
Yeah.
I wonder if he's doing that through Skype.
I-
It was because it was online that made it so I couldn't hang up.
Yeah. Okay. Well, because you can't just log off.
Oh,
'cause
he
you're-
said if I was pretty sure if I hung up, I'd never talk to the guy again.
Well, see, I
I can
think
imagine that.
Again, I just think bottom line, I think
it's a buddy, I guess.
regardless of any other decision you come to, whether you like this game or not,
I wonder
whether
who
you
it is.
decide-
Someone I know.
Is someone who knows whether
It might be because we gamed with some of the same guys.
whether
And it's a
you
SoCal
decide to
guy.
stay in it or not, you need to talk to that guy, because I think that's bullshit. I just
I'm
if we sat down and Stu railed at us, like if Stu railed on me for 2 hours because I thought the old lady was
I would
something
need a
more than
nap.
she is,
I
I
would
would
need a nap.
I'd be like,
Well,
dude.
Stu's furious. When Stu is mad at you, and I've sat in front of a mad Stu a couple of times, and when he's furious, I mean, he saved stuff up for years, and he will use it on you, like all at once. And it's about 10 minutes, and then he's exhausted, and everybody's a buddy again.
And I need to go take a nap.
Yeah, he does. But I don't think he can sustain that level of fury for 2 hours.
But my point is, I don't like if we came and sat down and he was like, "God damn it, you guys shouldn't have done this thing with the old lady, and you totally messed up my game," blah blah blah, blah, and railing us for 2 hours. There's a chance that I'd have been like, thank you for the
I'm out.
opportunity. I don't think this game is exactly kind of what I'm looking for. So I would rather go home and punch myself in the head
Then sit here and
than
be
sit
yelled
here
at for
and,
2
and
hours.
be yelled at for 2 hours. So I just.
I'm not going to sit here,
Brian,
and listen to you badmouth the United States of America. Gentlemen.
Brian, you're a good person, and you're worth more than that.
God.
And gosh darn it, people like you.
I ran an online game. The GURPS game. It ran 6 sessions, 5 sessions. something
I
like
remember that one.
It
That was the
started
one.
out real.
That was one where you did the map that was too big to show online,
Yes.
right? Yeah.
Yeah. The map was like.
Remember, you tried to zoom in and everything.
I wanted to make it so it could be a combat map. You
So
could zoom in and have it
granular,
in combat features, and it looked good at that.
You could probably do it
size.
now.
But that made the overall map like 800 gigs or something
Yeah,
like
it was
that.
huge.
Oh, it was like 16 gigs.
You're exaggerating.
16 gigs.
Oh my!
It was a city. It
What's
was a
wrong
city.
with you? Why would you exaggerate like that?
16.
Well, he's thinking it was a whole world map. It was just one city.
Okay.
But yeah, it was the whole city.
Wait till you see the whole world map.
I know, right? Talk about 800
This
gigs.
is only one city.
It would be.
But 16 gigs, when you're trying to render that in a browser,
I don't know
That's-
that. What do I know about that
Well,
stuff?
you do. Now.
But there's programs now that can handle that, and people's graphics cards are caught up. This was 2 years ago, right?
Well, it's not a
more
a
than
graphics
that.
card.
More
It's
than
a
that.
bandwidth
Yeah,
issue. That's
it
every
is
time.
bandwidth,
Every time you zoom it in or zoom it out, it's effectively.
But
I mean,
think
it
how
could be
cool. It's like, okay, you're in this
it could
part
be.
of
I'm
this.
re-downloading that 16 gig video. I'm turning to Scully. Stop it.
I mean, think of how cool it could be. You're like, okay, you're in this corner of the city.
Yeah.
Oh, a fight breaks out. Okay, here's the hex grid combat map right here. Here's all the buildings exactly where they are.
Yeah.
The fight is going to end up. You're going to chase the guy down the street. Great. We'll just keep scrolling.
scroll
The
over to
whole
the side.
fucking
Yeah,
city's
yeah.
here.
Yeah,
Come on,
Flintstones just running
I
by
thought it
the
was a
same-
brilliant idea.
It was. It just
It will work better now.
16 gig was too big.
Yes.
Too many bigs.
But I think I'm toying with the idea of possibly running another online game.
Are you?
Yeah, it'd be a short thing again. It'd be like a. But the first couple sessions were kind of weird because it's not you're not with people like sitting in the room. But after the third session, maybe the fourth session, you start to as a group of players start to develop a certain camaraderie a little bit, and then I noticed that players are starting to they're really starting to develop their characters, and it's really started getting kind of interesting. So it was fun. It was very fun. I had good players for it too.
I find that as a GM in that environment, in a hangout environment specifically, or Skype or whatever, I get too hung up on the delays, and there's like, so you're going down the hall? What? Oh, you didn't say anything. What?
Oh, yeah,
Can you guys tell me?
You go.
Wait, no, what?
No, go ahead.
Okay, hold on. Yeah, right. And I can't. I find it hard to run like that.
Yeah.
It doesn't seem to matter when I'm playing as much because I only have to worry about my one. But when I'm trying to listen to everyone and make sure I get everybody's input and juggling all these other things, and I'm not sure if they can hear me, and I'm not sure if my connection died, or like my camera was going out for a while, so my video would freeze with me going like, like
Yeah, it's
mid-
never the
love
most
that.
flattering shot. Yeah.
That's my favorite thing in the world.
Yeah.
and they'd be like, oh, we can't hear you now. You've gotten real staticky or whatever. It's like, well, all right, well, let's just wait and see if this clears up because there's not a whole lot I can do. I just think for me, running in Hangouts is
But
a
here's the
little-
thing that may or may not be a good thing, which is with the advent of the popularity of the actual play, more and more people are more forgiving of just seeing people in little boxes
Yeah, true.
talking to each
So
other.
a lot of them are that now.
Back in the
Yeah.
day, that's
I really think
it
that's
was
one
hard
of the
to
things
watch.
that sets us apart.
Well, but people are more understanding now.
Streaming live at a table.
Gotcha.
People are
Yeah,
more
yeah.
understanding now of seeing those little boxes and seeing that. Where it used to be annoying, more and more people, that's the norm. I mean, it's the new norm.
Do you remember when Picture in a Picture first came out on TVs?
Oh yeah.
Now
Yeah.
everything is Picture in a Picture.
Yeah.
Right. It's fantastic.
But anyway, Brian, I hope that helps with your particular problem there.
all right.
I don't know if we can help, but just
That's it. That's the show. Oh, we got a game convention September 1st, 2nd, 3rd,
Oh my
4th.
God, yeah, that's right.
I'm excited.
Oh, and do you need emails? People should start writing more emails.
Yeah, I have enough for like the next two shows. But if you have any questions or you have any problems, or we love the Schadenfreude of the.
I know it's
Horror Story.
bizarre to actually still write an email, but please do. This is, I mean, if you stop writing emails, we won't have a show anymore.
Eventually, you'll just be able to Snapchat us this stuff, but we're not there yet.
Don't Snapchat.
No.
All right.
GameCon.
GameCon, September
GameCon.
1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, strategicon.net. I'll be at Gen Con. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet.
Are you actually going to run something there, or are you just going to visit?
I don't know.
Dude,
I
don't
know.
do that
I
to
know
yourself.
what you're
Just
going
visit.
to do.
I
know what you're going to do. You're going to bring home souvenirs for all of your loyal hosts.
of course. Oh,
Okay,
absolutely.
right.
Yeah.
I think you need to sit on a couple of panels and talk about yes-anding and talk about podcasting.
Yeah, I'll see if sometimes they have a RPG podcast track. If they can, I'm going to see if I can get invited onto that. But I'm like, out on the West Coast, we're like the redheaded stepchildren.
Yeah, we are. Well, and
Everyone
this
else
show
is all-
specifically,
Everyone
yeah.
else is all in the Midwest.
I know.
But I don't know. I'll find out.
Just go in and throw down the Angry GM, and that'll get you into all of the.
Right? Well,
No,
he might be there. I'll be.
Oh, I'm
actually
sure he
able
is.
to
He's
meet
going to
him.
be sitting around hosting all sorts of panels.
Maybe. I don't know. Oh, what's his name that got nominated for an Emmy?
Yeah.
Oh,
Well, what's his
Dave-
name? No. What's his name?
Dave 77.
Dave 77.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well deserved for I think not for 77, but for
No, for Masterpiece
For
77.
Masterpiece.
Yeah.
Right.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah,
His-
literally for that one. The best PDF book, I think, is the category that he got.
Oh,
dinged
really?
On that one. Yeah, best
Well
PDF
deserved.
book.
Good for
Well
him.
deserved. If you guys haven't checked his stuff out, he does. Dave's been on the show a couple of times. He's a very passionate man. He's a great GM.
Friend of the show.
Throws himself in, and he puts out good product. And he sweats over the details. So if you go and buy or Kickstarter him, the stuff you're going to get from him has been labored over. He really does care.
I may or may not have been reading his upcoming Bedlam Hall. which
Really?
I may or may not have been.
Yeah.
So don't quote me on this, but it's looking really good.
Oh, good.
He
Like-
does care. He really
like-
does care, and he loves gaming.
Like I'm fighting. I'm putting this out there right now. I'm fighting the urge to run that game.
If you've read it before.
If had I read it, which I'm not saying I have, maybe. I'm fighting the urge to run that game, but I
Like you can't.
don't know if I can because it's powered by the apocalypse, and I think I might become the laughingstock if I ran a powered by the
No,
apocalypse
not at
game.
all. Not at
but,
all.
But it's like super cool. I'm
Cloak72 wants to know if I got a connected hotel at Gen Con. No, I'm singing an Airbnb. Didn't even try to.
Stu's a hipster at heart.
Yeah, I am.
Look
yeah.
at the beard. Come
He's
on.
gonna- he's gonna wear
He's
his-
had that before hipsters had it.
he's going to bring a scarf.
He was
and a
bald
fedora.
before it was cool.
He's gonna have a
I have Legends of the Elements. I originally thought it was going to be like an L5R hack, and it's not. It's a. It's more like a
What is Legend of the
Avatar: The Last Airbender hack. It's
Oh,
it's
all right.
it's a Powered by the Apocalypse game.
But
I
it's-
have it. It's sitting in my kitchen on my kitchen counter. I've started it. I haven't finished.
That's
it.
an interesting
I might
distinction, but not bad. That's a good distinction. I like that.
Yeah. So, but I got it because it's called Legend of the Elements, and I thought, oh, maybe that's Legend
Suckers
of the
you
Five
with the word
Rings.
legend in it. Yeah.
Has anyone heard anything about L5R?
I'm worried by who bought it.
Yeah. Me too.
Well, you see, well, notice what they just came out with. I don't know if everyone knows
Inside
this.
baseball.
They have they've come out with, or they're in the process of coming out with, a generic RPG system that uses the dice mechanic from the Star Wars games. So they're coming out with a game system.
FFG bought it?
FFG bought them. So they're coming out with.
That could
They're
that
coming
could spell
out-
the end of Roll and Keep.
I think they're coming out with, like a if I recall correctly, a core book.
Yeah.
And then there's going to be like setting books, or maybe the setting books are standalone. I don't remember. But there's like a steampunk one and a fantasy one, and I don't remember what else. But there's like they're going to come out with like 4 settings that use the same dice mechanics as Star Wars. I'm actually interested in it because one of the problems I've had when I was running the Star Wars games is I'm not that big of a Star Wars fan. I'm just really not. I know a lot about it because I've read several of the novels now, and I've watched all of the animated series except for the new one because they keep trying to. Oh, we have another season. Buy the new season. Oh, it's only 1 episode. No, you're not doing that to me. Right.
But, and Osaka might be. Oh, maybe she's not. Oh,
It's okay. Yeah, but
Yeah, because I remember in early shows, you were anti-Star Wars.
that's a running joke. He knew.
yeah,
He knew
it
stuff.
is. But I mean, but I'm just not that interested in the setting. And if I had a generic book where if I have my own setting and I can come up and I can take the.
Play in the universe. But
It
not
might
have
be
to
more interesting to me. I don't know. I still don't like the idea of every time someone rolls, I have to come up with a whole bunch of extra stuff besides whether you succeeded or failed.
I agree.
So after a certain amount of time, it's just like
It's
can we just get this
exhausting.
over with.
It's exhausting.
Would you be interested in an L5R game that used that dice mechanic, or would that dice mechanic?
I would be
turn you off?
sad.
You'd be
if-
sad?
I would be sad if they did that to L5R.
Because the roll and keep. I mean, it seems to me if you buy a company, like any company, you buy them for stuff that they have, and it's like that's a really great system. Now you
Well,
own them use that.
let's remember the role. I'm assuming they also got the. Yeah, they did. They got the trading card game too. That's a much bigger
Yeah,
bigger
you're
buy
right,
than the
because,
RPG.
Yeah, nobody
But
does RPGs.
But
yeah.
they could also just be buying the property because it's a good property, and they think they might be able to do it better with their own rules.
In between Steve Jackson calling me an idiot, he did say, if you want to be rich as a gamer, do not make an RPG.
Yeah.
He
correct.
basically said, and he's if you watch his Empire, and I think he's done pretty well at designing games. He no slouch. He doesn't focus a lot on RPGs anymore.
Well, he learned the hard way that RPGs are not a major moneymaker.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. That's it. That's all we got.
Yep.
Anything else?
Wah, wah.
I think we're done. All right. I'm gonna close this beast. Where's my thing?
Where's my
There it is. Only because I can. Thank you for joining us for season 19, episode 16 of Happy Chicks RPG Podcast. My name is Stu.
Stork.
I'm Proby Tim.
That's it. We'll see you next week, Friday, 8 p.m. Pacific time. And let's see, there's a Bloodblade and Tusk game on Sunday.
Note, our times might be changing.
I think we're going to keep it at 5 for this one, and then after that it'll change.
Please check your schedules. Now,
Yeah,
if
we're
you
gonna move the
go to
games
Happy Jacks, we are messing with the schedules a bit, so do check that. If you are an avid watcher, we might be starting a half hour earlier.
Start times are going to eventually be 4 p.m. Pacific. Probably not this weekend, but probably starting.
How do you check the schedule? Just go to Happy Jacks RPG. It's right there. Just give it a second. It's going to space. Let it load, and it will tell you what's coming up in the next couple of days.
Thank you very much. We'll leave this song.
The preceding program has been a presentation of the Angry Folk Media Empire.